What's up, YouTube world? So we are back in the shop, and it is BMW race prep time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about winter upgrades that we had done to the car, that the actual owner of the car had done. Some of the stuff that I did, and he did have something else done elsewhere. We'll talk all about that. So stay tuned. Give you a little video. All right, well, I appreciate everybody joining in and tuning in. So the BMW's here. As you can see, it does look a little different from last season. If you watch the video we just put up, it was our first track day for testing at Lime Rock. It was on the 18th of April, 2022. Today is, I think it's Wednesday, the 27th. So as far as any upgrades, winter upgrades. So nothing with the engine other than we had the computer redone. We also had the harness on the car all lightened and a lot of the wires removed because he had a younger gentleman who he knew through the grapevine of racing do a roll cage install. So as you can see, there's a whole lot more roll cage involved with the car now. Now, I did not have anything to do with that other than after it came back and it was done, I painted it. So the car cage itself, I painted to match the outside of the vehicle, which is the silver. And then after the gentleman put all the wiring and the computer and everything back in, I took over and we started modifying. So new switch panel. That way it's a little bit more professional. It's more things going on. As you notice, there is another switch for wipers, diff. Still have our fans. We have a start button now because the original key on the column is no longer necessary. And then you have your ignition power, and then you have your main electrical shutoff power. So that's a little bit of an upgrade. Right now I'm actually working on the rear view mirror. It has these brackets that come off the roll bar. Unfortunately, the brackets are short. So the mirror ends up being a little too close to his head here. So we need to extend the brackets with some short little pieces. That's what I'm working on currently. We put the SFI approved fire safety roll pad, roll cage padding all the way around in case we run an instructor or a passenger. That's only for this season because we will be switching the car over and racing in the, we're going to try to race in the NASA GTS2. So we'll see how that goes. He's very, very into safety, and I don't blame him one bit. He has the Halon system that we installed last season. That's still in the back behind the seat there. It discharges the nozzles on each side, driver and passenger foot area. That way, in case there's a fire coming from the engine bay, it douses your legs up to your waist, probably most of your face. Let's see, belt cutters. We made a little pocket there for a belt cutter he can reach. So that way, in case there is a problem, he can cut his belts. That's a big safety feature. We also have the belt cutters here taped. They can be removed easy. It's just a felt tape. We have them marked. So also, I don't know if you just noticed when I was videoing, there are no more door panels. I did not have time to really get crazy with the inside of the doors. I was going to cut most of the framework out of it, but I decided it's just better to leave it for now. We made custom pull handles so you can close the door when it's open. I basically just used the seatbelt material that we had left over. And I also made, these are nice and easy releases. So all you do is just push. Nice and easy, and it pulls the stock cable. Real simple. I just mounted the cable along the door with some retainers. That's it. So I see a lot of guys with that style, so we just went with it. So when you're inside the cockpit and you're about ready to drive and you need to get out, you just hit. The door opens. So that's just for safety. It's just a lot of less weight situations. We also upgraded to Lexan windows. So these are Con Speed Shop. He bought those online, and I mounted them into the car with Zeus fasteners, and we sealed them. It's almost like a window weather strip for like for like your house, or a door weather strip. It's just a foam strip. Put it all the way behind. That way it's nice and solid. You get no air leaks. You don't get wind noises. The rear windshield also now Lexan, and you can see I painted the package tray area back here black so you don't get any weird glare. That one is also fastened properly, and it has the aluminum strips, which are mandatory on the window as far as strength. Let's see, anything else about? Oh yeah, so we no longer have keys, so that is our trunk pull, and all it is just a simple pull it and cooler. So now our differential, and I'll show you up underneath the car as well. This runs in and out of your differential. This is a kit that he bought. I believe it's, what's the company? I forget. I tried to give him a shout out, but I forgot. And I just wired it in. Simple system, single relay, activates both fans, both the fan and the pump with the power feed. Power feed comes directly from your fuses, main fuses here. And it's obviously grounded to the battery ground. So it is a direct link, and it's only about a 20-inch run, 24-inch run. So there's no real battery drop. It's a larger cable supplying a 40-amp relay. So we should have no issues. It seemed to work great. The temperature after a run, if you grabbed this hose, was warm, but if you grabbed this hose, was cold, or cooler, I should say. And it's nice too, because now we have a inline filter that we can clean. So I could take this out and I can actually clean it. So I will check it today when we do the prep, because we've run the car now 4 times on the track, a total of, I believe it's like 2.5 hours, something like that. So the car ran really well. Everything performed really well. So the other thing he had done is the wing was powder coated, and then he had the stickers put on the underside, and then the top side of the wing I actually painted black because they wouldn't do a two-tone powder coat for some reason. And he had his his new logo for the race team, and I'll explain. It is Cute Beemer Racing. So there's a story behind that if you watch our videos. He has 2 cats, him and his wife. One of the cats' name is Cutie. The other cat's name, obvious, is Beemer, because he's always wanted a black BMW. That was his forever car. So he named the cat Beemer. So that is why we call what he calls the racing Cute Beemer, or whatever. Yeah, Cute Beemer Racing. So I don't know. I told him I'm not really on board with that, but it's fine. It's all good. It's all for fun. He gets people to smile, and that's all he cares about. Let's see, what else did we do? I mean, basically I had to go through a lot. Oh, the dash, that was another thing. So I'm not really throwing anybody under the bus, but I am going to throw somebody under the bus. The kid that did the cage, I'm not going to say anything bad about the actual roll cage, but he was supposed to do a lot of other things on the car, and he did not. The things he did were kind of half done. They weren't really what I would, put to my standards or even the owner's standards, and I had to remove and replace and fix. I mean, for instance, the dash. So he never cut the dash. I had to trim the dash based on what I thought would work, and then I gave it back to him to mount, but he never mounted it. All he did was drill a hole, and he zip tied it to the dash bar. Now, literally the dash was angled downhill over here, and it was flopping in the wind. So I ended up removing the dash, and I made 2 simple brackets. One here that bolts to the dash here and bolts to the actual dash bar, and then one there, you can see it right there, that bolts to the dash right there and bolts to the bar. So that way it's not going anywhere. We were thinking about cutting the dash right off on this corner, but it's not necessary right now. It still makes the car look clean with it being there. We can get to the fuse panel. It drops down. It's right underneath here. It's very simple. And all of our wiring is basically right here to our switch panel. So the switch panel I also had to redo because the gentleman said he would do a nice switch panel, and he never did a nice switch panel, so I did it. So that's about that. No big deal. So I took care of it. There are standards that I have and standards that the owner has, and I think we're on the same page. The other thing I had to do after the fact was modify our seat brace. If the seat in this racing series he wants to run is outdated, you need a support bracket to the frame or to the roll bar. I always put a support to the roll bar regardless, whether it's adjustable or not. This is a real simple design. That is actually a U-bolt from a exhaust clamp, but it works because it puts pressure against the bar and it will not go anywhere in case of some sort of an accident. So, God forbid. So it's real basic. I could have made some crazy contraption. What I really wanted him to do was, when he did the roll bar, was make tabs on the dash bar for the dashboard and mount it, and also make a bracket for the seat as a support. But that's a whole nother story. So what we're going to do today, so we figured there was a couple things. The owner added that Beemer World because he buys a lot of parts from them. So they gave him a cool banner sticker, which it actually shades the driver too. So it does serve a purpose. If everyone's like, oh, that's lame. Well, it actually serves a purpose. It actually blocks off a lot of the glare because he does not need that area of the windshield to see anything. His focus is mainly, to the sides and right and directly in front of him. He does not need to look up in the sky. There's no traffic lights. We're not worried about that. The tires we ran actually this time were brand new out of the box. And we have 4 heats on them, which is it's a half hour per tire heat. So, realistically, if you were racing, it's probably not a full heat because your races last longer than a half hour. So, what else did we do? I don't know. He just added a lot of little stickers. He likes to advertise some of the products we use. Willwood, Motul. He likes his little tow hook stickers. He got those made. SCDA, big shout out to Elvin Gillard and his wife. They do an amazing job. Everybody involved, if you haven't checked them out, please. Even if you have... So here's my whole thing. I'm into drag racing. But what they give you for what it costs to run the track and practice and to learn how to actually drive a car on a road type track, it's pretty impressive. They will offer you an instructor if you're new. They have car control clinics on the short course. They also, at Lime Rock, they'll do that. They also have the skid pad at Lime Rock, which works really good. We're going to Lime Rock a couple times this year. We wanted to keep it a little more local because driving all the way to Watkins Glen is just a hike. Some of the other tracks are just a hike. The New Jersey track was really wild. I think we're going back there. That's probably the farthest we're going. That's towards the end of the year. That was New Jersey Motorsports. That was actually fun. I think we're setting up. We have Thompson Speedway this in another week. And then we have another one in May, on my birthday, May 20th. So Edgar better buy me a cake. That's Palmer. So we're going back to Palmer because he likes Palmer. It's a nice little track, quiet. It's a lot of turns, a lot of hills, a lot of elevation changes. It's just, you could have a perfectly stock car. You could take let's say you have a Miata, a Mini, a BMW, or anything really. They'll let you run anything as long as it's a safe car. Not leaking oil all over. Tires are in good shape. The car has proper seatbelts. Factory seatbelts, factory stuff. It's not modified heavily, as far as the safety equipment necessary. So you can run in the, I think it's the, is it novice? Yeah, it's either novice or intermediate 1. I forget what class. It's a group. And they'll even do instructor ride-alongs. Depending on COVID protocols still, unfortunately, they'll do a follow behind. So they'll have a radio in your car and they will talk to you and tell you, okay, you want to come wide. You're going to want to start braking at number 3. They have the numbers set up. They have cones set up. So it's a lot of really cool road racing. You know, it's more of a tutorial day for a lot of people. For him, he's just learning the track and the car. He doesn't require instructors anymore. He's going to probably move up. He's in intermediate 2, which realistically, this car, I'm not even joking. This is a non-M car. So this is not an S54 E46. That would be the M3 styled car with the M3 motor. They make like 330 horsepower at crank. They're impressive 6-speed transmissions. They're fast. This is a stock M54. That is a 3-liter that came in this car, factory, with the 5-speed. And it has, I think, 225 horsepower at the crank, probably 180 to the wheel. We had a few things changed in the computer. We did scale the car. The car itself weighs 2780. And that is awesome considering the stock car was 33 or 3,400 pounds. So we did lighten the car a lot. Makes about 185 horsepower to the wheels, give or take. He fits right into any category. This car performs better than any of the other performance cars that are on the track, unless it's a full track prep car. The track prep cars can handle they can hang with him, or they're a little faster because they're in different classes as far as their racing. Because a lot of guys that race the class will go to the track, pay the money, test. It's just like drag racing. When you want to practice, you have to get your car prepped and you have to go test. I mean, you go to the track, you test. You test the track you're going to race. That's just how it works. So a lot of guys that have an event coming up, for NASA or whatever, IMSA, they'll run the SCDA in the advanced class because the advanced class allows for more passing. There's less instructional. It's just really just get out there and run your car as hard as you can and test. Those guys are getting ready. So Edgar is going to move up, and I'm going to push him to move up to the advanced class at this point, because if he wants to run GTS2 next year, we have to do more modifications to the motor. We have to make a little bit better horsepower and torque curve out of this engine, because then we can keep the car light. If this was an M, if we do a swap, like an S54 swap, he would automatically be bumped up to GTS3 unless you detune the car, and then it's okay. So, I mean, is that really worth it? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes downgrading in the class with a better car, because you can keep the RPM range with the torque curve and the horsepower curve all across. You would be down on horsepower and down on torque, but it would be a more consistent, line all the way from, 3,000 RPM all the way up to your peak, whatever, 7,000 or 7,500. So this car now, with the modifications to the computer we did, there's no more rev limit. There's no more speed limit. They eliminated a couple of the emissions controls that we eliminated. So the computer now does not regulate. He was able to pull through, and if you watch our previous video, testing at Lime Rock recently, you'll hear the RPM of the in-car, and it never stops pulling. So that's a plus. We didn't have that last year. The car was very mellow. So we're on the right path. We're learning. I'm learning. I'm not a road race guy, but I'm starting to figure it out a little bit. I understand suspension, so where that works out really well. Tire wear situation, suspension wear. The car scales out. I want to say it was 52 front, 48 point something or something like that in the rear. It's almost exactly where it needs to be already. And that's huge for the weights. Left to right is almost perfect. So, I mean, everything we set up was based off of people that knew what they were doing, giving us the correct information. The suspension guy said, do this. We did that. The guys that are involved in the racing said, you got to eliminate this, add this, do this, blah, blah, blah. And we listened. We're not, I will swallow pride all day long if I don't know what I'm doing in a certain situation, and I will listen. And that's what we did. We listened. So that's my advice. Listen. When someone with a faster car gives you advice, you listen. So never listen to a guy that's slower. That's a joke, actually. That's a drag racing joke. All right, so we were talking about some of the modifications that we did over the winter. One of the things we added was this mirror. Ooh, so it's a real long, and it has a arc to it, like a curl. So that way he can see all the way behind him. So basically, if we can see all the way to the right and all the way behind. Yes, I'm using my phone. It's much easier. Don't make me. Problem is the way it mounts inside the car. I mean, it's literally like right here. So it's like, hey, what's going on? You can't see anything. So the brackets are too short. So I am modifying a couple new brackets here. Bear with me because my bench is a little messy, but that's because I'm in the process of changing a lot. So this bracket here is going to be very simple. You can see where I made a little area to drill. So this piece is going to go like that. That's going to get welded. These are thin steel. It's just a simple, real simple design. So that's going to get welded. This side gets 2 holes. Actually, where I mark it there. That way it can actually slide with 2 bolts on the bracket that's mounted to the roll bar, and that extends it, and then that bolts to the mirror itself. So if you were looking at this bracket on this mirror, I'll show you. So here's the mirror. There's your mounting points. This would go down on that mounting point, and it comes up and over, and then it extends off the existing bracket. That'll give him the distance he needs, so the rear view is right up against the windshield and not up against his helmet. So once I get it done, I'll show you. The other thing we're actually adding is a safety feature. It has to be added. These are driver nets. We have left side and then we have right side. Real simple. It is a retention net that has 3 points. And it goes, notice there are 3 strands coming off the strap. So this side goes to the dash bar, and the other 3 go behind. So those 3 there would go to the roll bar to the left side of the driver across the open window, and then the other one goes to the right side of the driver. The reason they want you to put these on here, and they are Simpson, shout out, is that way when you get into an accident, and I say when because it happens to everybody, there's going to be a net going across here, and then there's a net going across over here on the side because it's an open window. That way the person driving doesn't bounce this way or out the window this way. It keeps them in the area where they are seated into their seat in case there's a failure of the seat belt or the seat itself, and so on. So that's it. So those are some of the upgrades we're just doing today. And like I said, we're just doing a basic track prep, making sure everything's good because we just did all fluids and everything. So everything's still good to roll. We're going to keep everything in it the way it was, check it, and let it ride. So enjoy. All right, I just want to give you a quick little view here. So what I did was, these are the original roll bar brackets, and you can see how short they were. So the mirror, it's difficult because the back side of the mirror, the brackets are straight, and they have these little quick screws. The issue we were having was it was way too close to his face. So now I have full adjustability with my brackets. I painted them black, and these are slotted, so you could actually move the mirror closer or further away depending on what you want to do. There's plenty of adjustment. There's plenty of up and down. I can even move left to right. I can push this one out and move that one there. So I'm going to probably extend these pretty far to where he can see behind him and also to the right of him. And then if he needs to look to the left, it's just through his side mirror. So that's an update. We're prepping the car. We're getting it ready. We're going to be at Thompson. I think it's the 6th of May. So I'll have a video drop right after that if you guys watch the videos. So stay tuned. I'm going to get this video uploaded, and you guys can keep watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe, like, share, the whole 9 yards. So there she is. Thanks for tuning in.